Okay, in this video today, we are going to talk about how we can use P5 to make basic drawing programs. So I'm actually starting you off with a quick little spot the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in a big screen. This does not have to do with what we're doing in class today, but I thought it might be a fun way to start the new semester. So I would suggest pausing this video on the Post-it that you have. I want you to write a few of them, and then you're going to give it to Ms. Schumann. Only take about like 2 minutes for this, because we got some coding to do. Okay, so what are the differences between the setup and the draw function? You are not opening this code, but I do want you to go ahead and take a look at it. Nothing's going to happen in my draw function or in my canvas. So what's the difference between the setup and the draw? You can notice that I have function setup. There's the curly brackets. It starts on line 3. Let me just scroll up a little. It starts on line 3 and ends on line 7. There's create canvas, and there's a console.log that says this is the setup function. And then my draw function starts on line 9, ends on line 13, has a background, and this one says console, this is the draw function. And if I press run, you can see that inside my console, it says this is the setup function with no number next to it, which means it happened once. And the number next to this is the draw function is constantly going up. That's because our setup function only runs once, and our draw function runs about 60 times a second. So every time I press run, everything in setup runs once. And then 60 times a second, it makes a background and says this console, background console, background console, background console. Okay, we're going to see if we can use that to our advantage. So I would love for you to open this up, play around with the code. What do you notice is happening when it's run, and why do you think that is? Just a reminder, you are coding along with this video. So we are going to pause this video whenever you need and rewind as well. Okay, so here you'll notice that we still have our setup, we have our draw. In fact, I'm going to add some comments. I'm going to add a comment that says, this runs one time. And our draw function runs about 60 times a second. You can see that what I've done is that I've actually included numbers down at the bottom. It looks kind of like our text would that tells us our coordinates, but it's not. And in this situation, what it's doing is it's telling you how many times this draw function has run. Frame count tells you how many times the draw function has run. So if you notice 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, it is about 60 times a second. Okay, so let's talk about what we have here. Right now we have an ellipse that I have. I'm just going to add a comment. I'm going to uncomment the ellipse, and at the end I'm going to say that this is an ellipse that has a width and height of 30 and is following the mouse. So if I press run, you can see it following the mouse. But we just learned that this draw function runs 60 times a second. And so the question is there only one ellipse here? Or are there, 800 ellipses? And the answer is there are 800 ellipses. We just can't see them. Because what is happening is every time the draw function runs, it's making a new background. Think of it like a new sheet of paper. And then it's making the ellipse. And then it's making a new background. And it's making an ellipse. But if I commented the background out, you can see all of the ellipses that came before it. Which is pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, though, that's hard because what if I wanted that background to be a color? I don't know, I'm going to put myself in HSB color mode. And what if I wanted it to be green? But I still wanted my mouse to kind of draw like it was doing. That's not helpful. What we do is we copy our background and we comment it out. And we put it inside of our setup function. So I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to add a comment that says, move the background into the setup function so that it only happens once. And now if I press play, you'll see it's still green, but every time I move, I can see all of the ellipses that have come before it. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. I am going to come down below. In fact, I'm going to comment out my ellipse, and I'm going to have us let's make a line that follows the mouse. And I want to remind you that a line needs two sets of coordinates, the start and the end. And we're going to use two different things. I'm just going to change this. I'm going to say make a line. We need two sets of coordinates. Okay, so we have our mouse X and mouse Y. We know that's like where our mouse is. There's also something called P mouse X and P mouse Y. The P stands for previous and tells the computer where you just were. So I can make a line using mouse X, mouse Y, P mouse X, and P mouse Y. And now you'll see that if I move my mouse, it's making a line. If I move really fast, it gets a little like jagged, which doesn't look as great as I want it, but it still works. If you uncomment that ellipse that we had earlier, you can see that it would have both of them, which is really awesome. Okay, your challenges are make other shapes draw with the mouse. You're going to create a basic drawing program that draws as the mouse moves. Make your program unique. You can draw with a line, a shape, a design. You can adjust the fill and transparency, and even try to calculate values to change how your program looks. Now, before you do that, let's just talk about some takeaways. Okay, so some takeaways are your draw function repeats about 60 times per second, redrawing everything each time. If we remove the background or put it in setup, it will no longer cover the path of shapes that move. P mouse X and P mouse Y are the previously X and Y coordinates of mouse X from the last frame. It can be used to help us draw continuous lines. Okay, so go ahead and work on this challenge. Let me know what questions you have.